Hey YouTube. I'm a terrible person. I really am. So I was so excited to do this TierMaker list, and I was so hyped about it. I talked so much about it, and I probably got through half of the league, almost half the league, and I realized that my microphone wasn't hooked up. Yeah. I I have no excuse for it. I tried to copy and paste it and tried to fix it. It just didn't really work out, and I honestly didn't really want to go back and redo the whole thing again. It's just a stupid mistake. I do apologize. Uh, I don't really know. This is such an awkward situation. I feel bad. I feel like I should just start it over, but I feel like everything that I kind of put into getting this tier maker list to where it is right now, I think is accurate, true, and I spewed a lot of information and knowledge that I don't want to kind of reiterate. So I do apologize, kind of just jumping into this halfway through. So I'm just going to kind of run over what we have so far, and please forgive me. I'm going to run over the tiers list, and I'm going to briefly explain why I have each team where they are, just to kind of catch you up to date. So we have top category being the elite of the elite. Second, great franchise, good to very good. This one's kind of reserved for teams that are competitive. They have their good seasons. They can suck. And, just a team that, can play a good game. We try, but we suck. And then better luck next year. Well, I can just hear it in my voice how upset I am. I really apologize. Let me get back into it. Okay, so I have the 49ers, a great franchise because they've won 5 Super Bowls. I really think, though they've had their down seasons, I think it's hard to ignore 5 Super Bowls with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, and they've made it to the Super Bowl last year, so they've been competitive, although they've had their crappy years. The Colts, when they had Manning, they were extremely competitive every single season. It's so hard to ignore. They won 1 Super Bowl. They lost another. And even when they were the Baltimore Colts, they were still pretty good and competitive for some years there. But I think overall speaking, the Colts are a great franchise for the fact of their competitiveness, and they get a lot of wins. The good to very good, Titans, Vikings, Falcons, Ravens, Bears, very questionable, totally understandable. I have all 5 of these in there because all 5 of them have had their good seasons in recent past. All 5 of them have been competitive to some degree recently. They all can play the game of football without sucking too much. And all 5 of these teams have been competitive with recently and have showed long-term success in terms of competitiveness, maybe outside of the Falcons, but it is hard to ignore that they do have an explosive offense, and if they just get a couple pieces, I think that they're going to be a playmaker in the NFC South. It's definitely going to be hard to see, and you can even argue that these guys should be under we try, but we suck. And the more I kind of talk about it, I kind of think that they should be. But like I said, you can throw them anywhere, and I think that's a both accurate description of them. Those Michael Vick years were good. They were really, really good. And I understand that they had their sucky seasons, so I think that's why I'm going to drop them down, because I want to try to keep the standard of each tier of this list true to its heart, and not just like, oh, you had 1-2 good seasons, so let's throw you in, good. So moving on, Browns, Dolphins, Bengals, Texans. They try, but they suck, and that's true. Although the Browns had a very good season this year, we have to look back at its overall, and they sucked for a very long time. The Dolphins, Bengals, and Texans are in that same boat, how they've sucked for a lot of years, where a couple years they'll come up and play good, they'll have a good competitive season, but there's no long-term success. And that's where this tier is, and I have the Falcons in there as well, because the more I think about it, the more I think that they fall into this category. Then the better luck next year, we have the Detroit Lions. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. In and out, these teams just suck. They're at the bottom of the barrel, and I refuse to acknowledge 1 year is going to turn into long-term success. I really think that after Brady leaves, I think the Buccaneers will be back to kind of where they were as a bottom-of-the-barrel team, just like the Lions and the Jacksonville Jaguars currently are, although they do have competitive seasons, but those are far and few in between. So that is where we are with this list right now. We are fully updated, and I do apologize for the poor production of this video. I really do apologize for kind of starting and jumping in halfway through. I hope you can forgive me, and I really hope you can enjoy the rest of this video with the rest of my analysis during this tier making. All right, so we have the Los Angeles Rams, St. Louis Rams, Los Angeles Rams. I think this one's tough because they've had their crappy years. They've been very competitive as of late. They were very competitive in the late 90s, early 2000s. Does that warrant them as a great franchise? Probably not. I'm going to put them in good to very good. It's just hard to ignore those crappy seasons that they had. But I do have to acknowledge their good seasons. On a side note, real quick, I know a lot of tier lists will have like the far left being like the upper echelon of that said tier, where the lower one maybe like a fringe to the tier below. I'm not doing that. I'm just throwing them in here as I see fit. If I think that they should be a tier below or a tier higher, I'm going to put them there. I'm not going to have them fringes or better than this one, but in the same tier. I think that's just preposterous. Moving on. I got to keep pushing forward and stop digressing. The San Diego, Los Angeles Chargers. I think they suck. I think they try, but they suck. I mean, it's so disappointing because they have such awesome jerseys. Their uniforms are so cool. They're probably the best in all of football, with those baby blue uniforms. Oh, it's so beautiful. But they're just not good. They're not good. It's just that simple. Kansas City Chiefs, overall speaking, they're a good to very good franchise. Overall. Now, if we're just going to base it off the past 5 seasons, they would be the elite of the elite. It's just that's facts. But if we're looking at overall, they sucked for many, many years. Before Patrick Mahomes and before Alex Smith, but those guys really shaped the future of this Kansas City franchise, and that's why they're good, very good. I know that they won this was Super Bowl III over 50 years ago. Other than that, I can't really recall and think that the Chiefs are anything but a good to very good franchise. If you want to argue that they try but they suck, you absolutely could. But I think based off of the past few years and what they've been able to do, I think warrants them to be a good to very good franchise. New Orleans Saints. This is a good one. I'm just going to throw them right into the great franchise. I think what Drew Brees and Sean Payton has done for that city and that team has been astronomical. They took a very, I don't want to say depressed, but a very upset and dismantled franchise after Hurricane Katrina, and they made a competitive team out of it, and they won a Super Bowl. Now, I have to acknowledge that they've had their bad seasons within the Brees-Payton era, but overall, the NFC South has been their division, and the division usually runs through the New Orleans Saints. They did this year. They were competitive this year, last year. I mean, they've lost in the playoffs the past 3 years on one-possession games. Or before this year, they lost in the past few playoffs because of overtime, garbage wins, right? So, other than that, sorry, I was putting chapstick on. Other than that, I think the Saints are a great franchise overall. The Who Dat Nation represent. But you could even argue that they're good to very good. You could. And if I'm going to put the Chiefs to good to very good, then I think I should put the Saints. I still love you, New Orleans. Who dat? The Giants. We try, but we suck. I mean, no, I have to acknowledge that they do have 4 Super Bowls, and that's very hard to ignore. Overall speaking, when they're not making the playoffs, I just think they're a bottom feeder in the NFC East and the NFC in general. Been good as of late. Could warrant them a good to very good slot. Either way, you could put them either spot and be totally fine with it. I'm going to put them good to very good because I think 4 Super Bowls is hard to ignore. Eagles, we try, but we suck. I mean, that team right now is not in a good spot offensively, defensively. They got some young talent. They got to try to, get all the potential out of. But overall, with 1 Super Bowl, one garbage Super Bowl, let's just be honest, I just don't think the Eagles are anything better than a we try, but we suck franchise. The Cowboys. They are, I hate saying this, a great franchise. They really are. I mean, 5 Super Bowls. They owned the mid 90s. They've had their stretches of being competitive. They've had their stretches of being, butt cheeks, but 5 Super Bowls. Same with the 49ers. I mean, they have their ups and down years. They have their competitive years. They have their, crappy years, but 5 Super Bowls, that's very, very tough to ignore. Pittsburgh Steelers. Their first elite of the elite franchise. 6 Super Bowls. What else do I have to say? If you're going to tell me 6 Super Bowls doesn't warrant an elite of the elite tag, then you're tripping. Broncos, I think they're good to very good. I mean, when they had Peyton Manning, they were extremely competitive and successful. They got a Super Bowl. They even made another one. So they won 1-2 in the Super Bowl, and those Elway years were very, very good. Elway even won 2 late. I just don't think the Broncos have had too many down seasons to warrant that they try, but they suck. Then again, when you have 3 Super Bowls in your back pocket and you've had 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time playing in Elway and Manning on your team, I think that's pretty good to beat, especially when you're a couple pieces away on your current roster to be competitive. If Drew Lock can figure it out with Fant, Hamler, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Not Ruggs. Jerry Jeudy. You got Cortland Sutton too. I mean, that's a pretty solid roster. You got Phillip Lindsay. You got Melvin Gordon. So their offense is good. Their defense is a shell of themselves, and they just got to figure it out there. And I think they'll be I don't want to say extremely competitive, but at least, competitive. Let's just leave it at that. Green Bay Packers. This is easy. Elite of the elite. Before the NFL AFL merger, they were the top of the class in the National Football League. They have, I think, 11 total championships, but excluding quote unquote those championships, I think they have 3 or 4 Super Bowls. They beat the Patriots in '96. Still a little butthurt about that, but when you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers and essentially not skip a beat, that's tough to beat. That's tough to beat right there. Panthers, yeah. Come on. I want to put them in the we try, but we suck category. They had a couple good years with Cam Newton in the mid 2010s. They made the Super Bowl, drastically lost it. They were competitive for a couple years, like I said, in those mid 2010s. Other than that, there's nothing that really points out to me. They made the Super Bowl against the Patriots in Super Bowl 38. So it's like, ugh. I think that's just as far as they can go. I mean, they're not a good team right now. They were a little competitive this year with Teddy Two Gloves. But, I mean, I think he's out the door. Or at least not starting next year. The Raiders. The Oakland to Los Angeles to Oakland to Vegas Raiders. Overall, I think they're a good to very good franchise. I mean, I know the black hole, they're very competitive. Their defense is known to being good, and I think their defense was solid this year. Their offense was pretty good this year as well. I think that they have the potential to be a contender. Excuse me. But overall speaking, Raiders haven't made any noise, nothing as of late, and I don't see them doing such in any time soon. But I have to ignore the fact that the Raiders are a historic NFL franchise. The Washington football team / Redskins. 3 Super Bowls in a tough spot right now. I think I have to put them. We suck, but we try. And I'm going to acknowledge right now, their Super Bowl victories. Boom, said it. Other than that, what have they done? I don't know. I don't think they've done anything other than that. And they've had no all-time great players like a Brady, like a Favre, like a Montana to kind of help boost their overall regular season, postseason success. So I'm just gonna leave them. We try, but we suck. But if anyone can bring an argument to the table to put them in the good to very good, then I will listen. Cardinals, same thing. They try. They have their competitive seasons. They were close this year. They're going to be good for years to come. They made one Super Bowl against I think it was Super Bowl 40 against was it 40? 41 maybe against the Steelers that they lost. But other than that, there's really no reason to kind of bump them up any higher. Buffalo Bills. Oof. Bills Mafia. They're good now, but they haven't been really that good overall. I also think that we try but we suck category. I really do. I mean, point me to success of the Bills. They made 4 Super Bowls in the 90s. How many did they win? 0. Now, if they pulled away one of them, probably put them to good to very good. But honestly, I just don't think the Bills are a overall good franchise. I mean, they've had their moments, they've had their ups and their downs. I mean, I've been saying that about everybody, but it's just true. Seattle Seahawks. This is a good one. Because they're very, very good and competitive now. I don't see them not being good and competitive for years to come, as long as they have Wilson back there. They've made 3 Super Bowls. They've lost 2 and they've won 1. Does that warrant them to be a great franchise? I think considering, so I'm looking at it as I looked at the Colts, where the Colts only won 1, but every single year they were competitive with Peyton Manning. And now they're back at it, being competitive, winning games, playoffs. And the Seahawks before Wilson weren't doing that at all. And will they be doing that after him? I don't see it either. So I'm going to put them into the good to very good. If they won the one against the Patriots or they won the one against the Steelers, that was Super Bowl 40. Yeah, that was Super Bowl 40. Then I'd probably put them up on great franchise. And going back to the Cardinals, I think that was like Super Bowl 43 or 44. I don't know. I got to re-up on my Super Bowls. But anyways, Seattle Seahawks, good to very good. On the brink of great franchise if they can get one more Super Bowl. The New York Jets. 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 Yeah, better luck next year, guys. Better luck next year. It's just that, I mean, do I really have to argue this? They had 0 success. 0 success. Now, granted, they made it to 2 AFC Championship games with Mark Sanchez. But in comparison to everyone else here, where some of these teams, most of these teams have Super Bowls, warrants them to be up here. Absolutely not. Okay, so now we have the New England Patriots, and I answered this, and I placed them with absolutely no bias. They are a great franchise. They've won 6 Super Bowls in 20 years. They went They won 3 out of 4 in one year. They won 3 out of 5 in another year. It's just, oh, and they made it to a fourth Super Bowl in that stretch of 3 out of 5. They've been to 9 Super Bowls. Like I said, winning 6 now and losing 3. They were competitive for 20 straight seasons. They were even slightly competitive this year, even though they sucked and they fell off. But relatively early on, they were competitive. They have the best head coach of all time. They had the best quarterback of all time. They've had weapons, star players in and out on both sides of the ball. It's just, if you put them on anything under elite of the elite, that's just doing them wrong. And yeah, so I mean, hopefully the Patriots can kind of bounce back. But when you have 6 Super Bowl rings in your back pocket, like I said about the Steelers, that's just too hard to ignore. So this is my official NFL franchise tier list. Now, there's absolute arguments to be made for teams to go up and for teams to go down all across the board. Nothing is set in stone. These are just my opinions, my thoughts, what I believe in, what I think. And this is absolutely up for discussion. And I would love to hear said discussion. If you had any thoughts about anything, any team that I placed, whether it was about the Bears being good to very good, or the football team being, we try but we suck. Maybe you think that the Jets should be, higher or whatever. Maybe you actually think the Colts should be lower. I think that's a, one for discussion right there. But I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Tell me what you thought. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please chuck a like on it. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you're new, get at me. Reach out to me on Twitter and on Instagram at Murphs_Boston ST. The ST stands for Sports Talk at Murphs_Boston ST. I really appreciate you joining, and I do apologize for the little mess up at the beginning. I appreciate your understanding, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!